Hello, and welcome to this brief presentation on Chapter 7, Processes, Organizations and Information Systems. The previous three modules focused on the computer-related aspects of MIS. We will change gear in the next three modules and focus on how organizations can use IS to achieve strategic advantage. They build on the material covered in Module 3. In this module, we will look at business processes and how IS can support business processes. At the end of this module, you will be able to distinguish between different types of business processes, including structured versus dynamic processes, and workgroup versus enterprise versus inter-enterprise processes, distinguish between process efficiency and process effectiveness, describe the concept of an information silo, and discuss how information silos risk undermining organizational success and how these risks can be avoided. Describe different types of enterprise systems, including CRM, ERP, and EAI, and discuss the issues involved in the implementation of an enterprise system. In Module 3, we defined a business process as a network of activities that transforms inputs into outputs. There are different ways to classify business processes. One way is to distinguish between structured and dynamic processes. Structured processes are formally designed and standardized processes. They usually involve routine day-to-day operations. For example, ordering raw materials is a structured process because we must follow a specific set of tasks to do so. Dynamic processes, on the other hand, are flexible and unstructured. They are usually strategic in nature and cannot be standardized. For example, deciding on a competitive strategy would be an unstructured process because there isn't a predefined set of tasks that can be performed. A second way to distinguish between processes is based on their scope. Workgroup processes pertain to a single unit within an organization. An example would be general ledger related processes in accounting. Enterprise processes span more than one unit within an organization. The textbook gives the example of a discharge of a patient from a hospital, as this involves physicians, nursing, housekeeping, billing, etc. Inter-enterprise processes span more than one organization. An example would be the way in which certain car manufacturers allow part suppliers to access their production schedules so that a supplier can make sure that the parts arrive at the factory at exactly the right time, i.e. when they are needed in the manufacturing process. As you see, I added a picture of the value chain to the slide as it helps illustrate the difference between the different processes. Workgroup processes typically involve one activity in the value chain. Enterprise processes involve more than one activity, and inter-enterprise processes involve the value chain of multiple organizations. Processes are obviously central to the success of an organization, and good organizations are therefore always looking for ways to improve their processes. There are two metrics to measure the success of processes. Process effectiveness is the ratio of inputs to outputs. A process is more effective if we can achieve the same outputs with fewer resources, or if we can achieve higher outputs with the same resources. Automation can help in improve process efficiency. Process effectiveness, on the other hand, concerns the question how well a process helps an organization achieve its organizational goals. For example, some organizations have processes in place that may have been useful earlier, but are no longer relevant given the new competitive environment. An example might be the publication of printed newsletters. Since more and more of us are getting their information in an electronic format, does it make sense for an organization to keep publishing printing materials on a frequent basis? The importance of business processes to an organization's success naturally leads organizations to look for ways in which they can improve either the efficiency or effectiveness of their processes, or both. The process of doing so is often called business process redesign or business process re-engineering. There are essentially three ways in which you can improve your processes. First, you can improve the process structure, for example by changing the order in which you perform the activities in a process. Second, you can change resources, for example by having more operators work on an activity that turns out to be a bottleneck in the process. And third, you can of course do both. An important problem that may arise in an organization that relies heavily on information systems to support workgroup processes is the problem of information silos. Recall that a workgroup process involves a single unit within an organization. Information silos arise when a unit has its own information systems and does not or cannot share the information captured in its systems with other units. There are several problems associated with information silos. The book mentions data duplication and the risk of data inconsistency. For example, if billing and shipping have different customer databases, this information about the same customer has to be captured twice, and this in turn leads to the danger of having two different addresses for a customer, one in billing and one in shipping. Another danger, although not mentioned in the book, is that information silos may not allow you to see important improvements in the business processes. For example, sales may know that demand for one of the company's products peaks in a certain period. However, if it cannot inform manufacturing of this, there is a danger that the company may not be able to meet customer demand at peak times. There are different ways of avoiding the risks associated with information silos. One is for the organization to develop its own enterprise system. However, this is very complex and expensive, and most organizations therefore opt to either buy an existing enterprise systems or to integrate their current information systems. You can distinguish between two different types of enterprise systems. CRMs, or customer relationship management systems, provide a single platform to capture all the interactions that an organization has had with the customer, including orders that the customer placed, bills that they paid, marketing efforts aimed at them, and so on. ERPs, or enterprise resource planning systems, on the other hand, essentially provide a single system, support all the activities within an organization, and typically use a single, complex underlying database to achieve this. Another option is to integrate existing systems using EAI, Enterprise Application Integration. In this approach, an organization will keep most of its workgroup information systems in place, but will write or acquire software that will allow integration to take place between the different systems. For example, USF St. Pete uses Canvas to support its teaching and Banner to support its system administration, but it has an interface in place that will automatically transfer information from Banner to Canvas and from Canvas to Banner. However, implementing an enterprise system, especially one that has been bought, is fraught with difficulties, and many, if not close to all projects to implement enterprise systems end up being late and over budget. There are numerous reasons for this. For example, unlike workgroup information systems, enterprise systems span the entire organization, and their implementation therefore requires collaboration between many different groups and their managers. And we know from Module 2 that collaboration is not easy. Also, there are often gaps between the system and the organization. For example, many enterprise systems require processes to be performed in a certain way, and an organization may be performing its processes differently. It's therefore crucial that an organization carefully identify gaps between its requirements and those supported by the enterprise systems prior to implementation, especially if overcoming these gaps require the organization to re-engineer its processes. Finally, the implementation of any new system will lead to transition problems. We need to make sure that our organization keeps functioning even as we change over to a new system, and to employee resistance, especially if the implementation of the enterprise system required certain processes to be re-engineered. And this concludes this brief presentation on Chapter 7. Please read the chapter thoroughly and contact me if you have any questions. Thank you.